We're going to go over essentially something I've done for my team with employee incentives, and I found this to be a very useful exercise as we kind of work together in an organization. So let me get started in here and kind of get through initially. So when we think of customer service, we got to remember we typically focus on individuals who utilize our products and services, but we sometimes overlook our internal customers. And when I talk about that, those are our support teams. These are the individuals that are responsible for those day-to-day operations, and when they're not feeling 100% motivated and supported, that really affects the outward customer experience. So I'm going to share the positive impacts that my focus on support and service teams having a positive customer experience internally has affected an experience externally for our organizations. So Paul already went through my little bio here. Feel free to zap the little LinkedIn QRC. You can hit me up there if you want to continue the conversation as well. So when we talk about support, and we're looking at this, we need to address the challenges that we're seeing, and we need to agree that support roles are probably some of the most challenging ones in the organization. They're high stress positions. Burnout isn't a risk, it's often an expectation, right? So when we look at data from firms like McKinsey and Gallup, they indicate that customer-facing support teams deal with four major challenges. There's an increased demand and expectation, omni-channel support and gaps in technology, the reality versus the promise of AI, and the efficiency under cost pressure, right? So all of these really contribute to a high attrition and agent turnover and a difficulty retaining talent. And you're seeing from, I believe this was from a Gallup poll. I pulled this from my references are on the bottom of this, but 63% of leaders throughout the organization or throughout organizations are reporting a staffing shortage and difficulty in training new employees. We're getting poached, like specifically in my industry, because there's such a knowledge gap. Agents often get poached from one competitor to another one. So how do we combat this turnover, right? That's what we got to think about. Well, traditional solutions face, kind of focus on hygiene factors. If we look at organizational hygiene, that's kind of like taking care of benefits, making sure you're paid reasonably, and they prevent dissatisfaction overall, but they don't necessarily offer true engagement and motivation. We approach it differently, and this is kind of the direction I've taken by focusing on what engages your staff and your unique individuals on there, understanding their goals, encouraging that level of initiative to take things on their own, and then foster a sense of belonging, like making them feel like they're one in your organization beyond the company organization, but the actual support teams that you're working with. So uh, essentially what ended up happening is in 2021, I took over this team and began looking at kind of what was happening on an analysis. And we're going to go through there. And this took from 2021 to being adopted at the beginning of this year in 2025. So first and foremost, let's look at my analysis. When I stepped into this role, I inherited a small team of 7 who was feeling undervalued by the organization. I spent the first few months listening and learning with them. During these conversations, I identified key challenges and began linking them to motivational drivers that were inspired by Herzberg's two-factor theory and Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Now, I want to stop here quickly. It's very important. I am in no way a behavioral scientist, nor do I have a background in OBM. I just saw correlations with the way these individuals classified motivators and saw how they connected to what my team felt was important, right? So from there, I began to build a framework that took these two theories and a lot of real world experience to boost morale, performance, and overall customer experience. The early foundations of this started from 2021 to 2022. So I simply started by doing a very easy process of structuring the teams for a path out of support and off the phones, right? Because we all know when we give somebody an end goal or something to strive towards, they're going to work a little more effectively and they're going to push to meet those goals, right? So I structured them into tiers based on knowledge level. There had been guys that were there for 12 years and there had been guys that were there for less than a year when I started, and they were all considered the exact same. So by giving this hierarchy in the organization, we were able to really drive people to kind of push harder to keep their knowledge going. I also developed a career path showing where if you hit tier 3 on the organization, you could move over to the engineering team, you could move over to product management, to organizational training. So all of those coming together address very, very specific motivating factors. When we look at this, what our takeaway was from that time period, the structured team building was able to advance because there was now a direction that everyone was being able to have. They knew how to get out of the department. And the introduction of that career path gave employees an understanding of how their skills and knowledge could be leveraged across the organization. It also hit multiple motivating factors that we hadn't even seen before in the organization. So through 2023 and 2024, I really began to refine this plan and pilot it. The team was growing in 2023. We had new hires, and I always had made it, and I still to this day make it a point to sit with my team, and even with the 40 people we have right now, to learn and understand who they are, right? So this insight from knowing these people helped me kind of craft a reward program for them and that incentive program. My HR team doesn't like me to call it incentive because incentive has a monetary association with it. So in the office, I have to call it engagement plan, but it is in fact an incentive plan, everybody. Um, so we had a couple of big challenges, a couple of big changes. So one of the things that I really found motivating these individuals was the idea of attending a trade show. Before I arrived, support agents weren't allowed to go. They saw management saw it as unnecessary. However, I realized this was an opportunity for firsthand learning and industry exposure. So I started taking the top performers in the department to those shows. Not everyone could attend, and I needed to kind of compensate for that. So those individuals that could not attend, and for those of you who have ever been to a trade show, you know that it's a slog for those 4 days while you're there. I found other ways to take care of these individuals, like company paid lunch for the entire time that they would have been at a trade show. We had a situation where, whoops, clicked too quickly. We had a situation where my organization doesn't allow discretionary bonuses, and I wanted for those that were still motivated by a financial incentive to kind of get that feeling too. So we introduced credits for our merch store, and we were able to have the agents come in and earn credits towards like objects they wanted or items they wanted in the merch store, speakers, golf clubs, whatever they so desired. And because growth matters in the organization, I made sure we also got training reimbursement for the team, and I pushed for that as part of the incentive program. You did X amount of hours on the phone, you got X amount of additional training reimbursement or training time, so you didn't have to work off hours. 2024, we continued to move forward, and I had this essentially an informal reward system going on. I was tracking the gear credits on a spreadsheet, getting one-time approval for meals, and as we were expanding the team, it became clear that I needed to formalize this with management, with everyone else. So I started adding new options to keep things fresh. We did a yearly performance award that was able to have our our team members who were the top performers in the organization recognized in front of the entire company. They got a nice little glass statue. I don't have one, but my guys do. Um, and this was something that was great because we were able to do it in a very public way. But for those that didn't want public recognition, we didn't. We just gave it to them off on the side. We gave them increased training time. Again, this is kind of the training reimbursement. Now we give you more time to actually train, so you're not doing after hours training. You can do it during the work period. Meal expenses, because I support strains personal relationships constantly. There are times when you're on the phone, you come home stressed. I do it with my family as the director. Um, Giving the top performers, giving those individuals a sense of connection with their significant others outside of the organization, sponsored by the organization, made them feel a level of worth that they weren't feeling before with the team before I got there. And then more times off the phone. I mean, let's be honest here. Nobody on the in any support level likes being on the phone in a call center all the time. My team functions primarily about 95% of our support cases come in via phone. We do product support. The other 5% come in via email. 8 hours fielding calls all day from frustrated customers is very exhausting. So by giving them a perk of time off the phone based on performance, gave them the ability to recharge and handle work in the way they wanted to. So the takeaways from this between 23 and 24, this program evolved from an ad hoc into a really structured system. By listening to employees, I continued to identify individual motivators for all of them, and I removed organizational barriers. The program shifted from a one size fits all to a multifaceted strategy. These changes were reinforced by the company's commitment for development and recognition, well being, and creating culture where support roles became rewarding and aspirational. Was on medical leave from November 24 to 25. But when I got back, the first thing I did was work with my newly hired manager and the two supervisors for the team and craft the finalized official document. Backed with some data that you're about to see on the next page, I was not only able to get the plan funded completely by management and HR, but they liked it so much that if it is successfully piloted for our team officially this year, they're adopting it to the rest of the North American organization. So let me show you what this did and what this turned around for us. So these are all real numbers here. We have had in the time period from 2021 to now, I think maybe we have had a total of three terminations and resignations in that time, and this is a higher level of morale overall. Average handle time has dropped down significantly. Again, that's as of June. We're actually, I checked yesterday, we're actually just shy of 0.57 hours right now. Our CSAT scores are we've gone up 8% from 2021, but our response levels are through the roof now. We have 11% responses. We deal with about last count 2,900 tickets in probably close to a month, if not more. Out of those tickets, 11% are being responded to now because our internal employees feel engaged and want to have that feedback and want to have those customers respond to us. Our reopen cases are now less than 10% of repeat cases. It's also worth mentioning, not on this list, that as of the 23rd of June, when I checked this last, 28 of my agents had a certification in one of the following either LPI, Network Plus, CCNA, Linux Plus, AWS, or a high level industry certification. Okay. For us. And that would be like a partner, like another one of the partner video management systems we work on. I still talk to each of the guys at least twice a year, like I said. My last one on one with them was in May. And the general sentiment was that the department, management, and leadership team really seem to be caring about these individuals. In addition to that, members of the team that have been with me since 2021 and with the company from even before then have expressed their happiness with the way recognition and rewards have working or have been working, stating that this didn't exist and this is the reason they continue to work here. I just did um, from the 7th to the 11th and then the 21st to the 25th. I just did two support summits with one side on the West Coast, one side on the East Coast with my team. Very, very similar reactions to them. The level of engagement was through the roof, and it's because we're taking the time to care and incentivize our team that matters for them. So, uh, taking this away, taking this all into a nutshell here for you, I think the numbers and the overall employee sentiment that I've kind of expressed support the idea how if you incentivizing your team is more than a financial compensation, it takes a true understanding of what motivates those individuals. Targeting those factors and tailoring your approach around them not only reduces turnover, but improves general morale and drives measurable business results in efficiency and customer satisfaction. Okay. These high performing tenured teams are built by taking that approach, by making sure your team is working towards something that has meaning to them. And if they do that, they're working at their best. On that note, I am done.